Hi guys, and welcome back to this place. If you are new, as always, then welcome here for the very first time. I hope that you enjoy being here and stick around for a little bit. I am Carmen. Sorry, that took a bit to get to. And today we are going to be watching Battlestar Galactica Season 1, Episode 8, I believe. And I'm excited to get into it. Last week we had a really fun episode where Six was actually on the ship. She was on the Galactica, not just as a figment of Gaius's imagination or as a part of his mind or whatever you want to call it. She was actually physically there on the ship, messing with him and trying to get him to see the bigger picture and go along with her plan that she wants him to go along with, right? But it was just a lot of fun to actually see him, see people, see her, and realize that for once she wasn't just like up here and was actually physically there. It was fun to see her interact with Adama. It was fun to just see everything that happened and just get to see all of it. Like, I don't know. It was just a really fun episode, I think. And a really interesting episode because they really focused on sort of the idea of like religion and redemption and just this idea of there being a plan for you and going along with it and sort of surrendering yourself and just these really interesting ideas and concepts. Meanwhile, on not Earth, Caprica, we had Hilo and Sharon, aka Boomer, and they are starting a relationship, which is going to be really interesting because if they ever do get back to the Galactica, there's going to be a lot of conflicts there, not only regarding like Sharon that's there, but just the idea of like Tyrell and their former relationship and just what it's going to mean for everybody going forward from that. Anyway, that is so much rambling. I am sorry. Let's just get right into the episode. It's as a Supernatural fan and just like somebody who enjoys those sort of mythos, it's giving Woman in White. It's also very much giving X-Files. What was the whispering? That was the Cylon guy that Adama killed. Sorry, I'm jumpy.
Laura.
Why is she having that nightmare? Is it a side effect of the medication?
You have an urgent call from the captain of the Gemini Traveler. He says they found a Cylon on board.
They found him in the starboard storage compartment. Looked like you've been camped here for days.
Where is it now?
Locked in a storeroom under guard.
Was he coming to her like Six can come to Gaius? Like,
I want this man interrogated.
I've dealt with this model before. Fill your head with double talk and half-baked philosophy and confuse you.
And send someone who won't be easily confused. That's an order, Commander.
Her dream makes sense.
How's this coming?
We got the entire avionics package figured out. Fire control, navigation. That I am zeroing in on her FDL drive.
Manipulative, cunning. Said he mixes lies with truth. He's gonna try to get into your head.
Mom always said there was nothing in there anyway.
He has an agenda. It's a goal you won't understand till later. Your job is to make sure he doesn't achieve the goal.
Yes, sir.
What if he's like Sharon though and he doesn't actually know that he's a Cylon? Because we know that a lot of them are like sleeper agents, right? So he might not even be aware. I definitely think that it's him that he went into the president's dream, but I'm not sure to what end. Okay, I'm about to look away because now I know that it's happening.
Lieutenant?
Do you think he's becoming suspicious of her?
What I told you the other day helped at all?
Yeah. Actually, it did. How'd you come up with that anyway?
I'm a Cylon.
That's not even funny.
I mean, it's true, but she's
If I
joking.
could prove that I wasn't, would that make a difference?
I mean, you can't prove that because you are.
Inbound, Lieutenant Trace aboard, permission to dock.
I wonder why Adama chose Starbuck.
It's all full of wires inside.
No, you cut him open, there's blood, guts, the whole thing. It's sweating.
As they go through a lot of trouble to imitate people.
Why do you think they do that?
But the fact that these
Could be
things
important.
sweat. Now that's interesting. Sleeping?
Praying. God answers everyone's prayers. I really want to know your name.
Why? So you can, when you transfer your consciousness to another person, you can know things?
Are you Lieutenant Starbuck?
You shouldn't have stopped. That told him.
I was right. I was right. Now we can talk. Now we can talk about a lot of things.
Why? Why now? Why now that you know?
I planted a nuclear warhead aboard one of your ships. It's set to go off at 18:30 hours.
Okay, what time is it? Well, couldn't they just scan every ship, or like maybe they don't have enough personnel or crew to check everyone fast enough?
Sweep Galactica for any kind of radiological devices. Contact with all the captains. Have them do radiological sweeps.
Well, we'll know for sure in 8 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay.
Lieutenant Trace, did he say anything else?
He guessed my call sign.
50 ways you could have heard the word Starbuck in a wireless set.
Okay, makes sense, I guess.
Don't take any chances, Starbuck.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure what chance that she could take.
You believe in the gods, don't you? Lords of Kobol and all that? I look to one god, not the many. To know the face of God is to know madness.
Okay.
I see the patterns.
Okay.
I see it, and you don't. And I have a surprise for you. I have something to tell you about the future.
What?
But
Can
we have to see this through to the end.
okay. I mean, if you go into the future, it's easy to predict the future because it's not the future anymore. It's just the present.
What is the most basic article of faith?
Belief.
How's your lunch?
When you're starving, anything tastes good.
Did that hurt?
Ah.
Machines shouldn't feel pain, shouldn't bleed, shouldn't sweat.
Okay, but they do, so what's the point?
Smart Cylon would turn off the old pain software about now.
I don't think that they can turn it off. Makes me uncomfortable. I mean, torture doesn't work. Just
That a human being beat you, that you are truly no greater than we are.
the thing is, in humans, torture is not actually an effective method of getting information. It's been proven time and again. Maybe, I don't know if it had at this point, but I'm pretty sure it had, so it's falling a little flat for me personally. Like, I get the idea, like, oh, if you can turn off pain, you're not human.
Lieutenant Valeri.
I heard you're working on a test to tell the difference between Cylons and humans. Do you think I could be in the first batch, you know, to be tested? What's a rush?
What's your rush?
I saved your life back on Caprica. You owe me.
I mean, to be fair, he kind of owes it to Hilo.
But I could use a beta test subject.
I don't know. Okay.
We had sex.
Congratulations.
Does he love you?
I think so.
Has he said it?
Not directly.
Stay in your current location. We're setting up a cabin for you nearby.
Shouldn't be too hard to convince him to stay and start a life together. If not, kill him.
Do you think that they want to create human Cylon hybrids? Like a new race of people? Would that even be possible?
Hey, what's going on?
We gotta go now. Just trust me.
I do.
Now, if you were human, you'd be just about ready to start offering up some false information. But then I keep forgetting. You're not human.
Okay, so are they saying that they know that torture isn't an effective method of obtaining information? Because at least kudos if they are doing that.
I am God.
God? Wow, nice to meet you. You are evil.
Emma, I see the truths that flow past you in this stream.
You got a real thing about rivers and streams, don't you? I think we should indulge you in your obsession.
Waterboarding? I mean, surely they don't even have enough water to do something like that, right?
Do you realize I could kill you before they came back in the room?
Then why don't you?
He's just proving that he could.
You fracked up, pal.
But he...
Now the gloves come off.
But he's allowing all of that to happen. Like, he just proved that he could make those people get off of him. He's choosing to let them hold him back. But why is he obsessed with Starbuck? I don't get it. What if he's the nuke?
Spread out the fleet. There's a nuke. Let's limit the damage.
What if it's him, his dead Cylon body? They probably did an autopsy, right? I think I was right.
Do it.
I see patterns. I know you were born to a woman who believed that suffering was good for the soul, so you suffered.
How does he know that? He's smiling.
Green, you're a normal human being. Red, you're an evil Cylon. Should take a couple of minutes.
Congratulations, Doctor. You've just uncovered your very first Cylon.
She is right.
She probably doesn't know.
She doesn't.
Probably thinks she's just another little girl from Troy.
What will he do, though?
Congratulations, it's green. It's very bright green. You're not a Cylon.
Really?
100% human and very, very bright green.
Well, his silent detector works.
I have something to tell you.
He's in her head.
I want to see the Cylon myself. I don't want to discuss this. I made my decision.
Could he transfer into the president? Like, do they have that ability to, like, transfer into models or people that aren't, like, their models?
And I told you I had a surprise for you.
The president?
You're gonna find Kobol, birthplace of us all. Kobol will lead you to Earth.
What the hell is going on here?
What does he want? I'm so confused.
And where's the warhead?
I don't know.
You spent the last 8 hours torturing this man, and you don't have a single piece of information to show for it.
Okay. Wonder what they're gonna space him, right? Like, that's the only method of execution they're gonna have in space, I assume.
Take his restraints off.
I mean, he can break them anyway,
Do
honestly.
it.
He's, again, choosing to allow all this to happen.
We have only 4 minutes left until your bomb goes off. This conflict between our peoples does not have to continue. It can stop right here with us. Tell me what I need to know, and you will live.
The warhead doesn't exist.
Thank you for the truth. Stand up.
Lara, I have something to tell you.
What?
Adama is a Cylon.
That's not true, I don't think. He's just trying to cause chaos?
Bomb.
Nothing.
Put him out the airlock.
It's just like in her dream. Compassion. Maybe this is what he wanted. This is exactly like her dream. Yeah. I have many thoughts.
Lords of Cobalt, hear my prayer. I don't know if he had a soul or not.
She's carrying his soul to
take care of it.
Yeah. He was right. She's carrying his soul to God or whatever.
Care to tell me why?
The interesting thing about being a president is that you don't have to explain yourself to anyone.
Did she believe him or not? That's the question.
Something wrong?
Do I believe him or not? That's the question.
No. Nothing at all.
Okay, wow. All right, so there is kind of a lot to try to talk about and dissect in that episode. One, I'm not going to bury the lead. He said Adama was a Cylon. Now the question is he telling the truth to sow discord, or is he lying to sow discord, right? We know that Cylons can exist without us knowing, or without them knowing that they are Cylons. So it's very possible that Adama could be a Cylon and not even be aware that he is a Cylon. I don't know. I don't know like what to believe, and like it's so fun because I don't know, like, you know, like I don't know if that is true or if it's complete crazy fabrication, and presumably it's not true, but like, again, I don't know if it is or if it isn't. And so I think that that's a really exciting sort of idea of, is the person in charge of everything actually a Cylon? I mean, we just don't know. I think it's also really interesting, the idea, and it just keeps happening in these episodes, right? Of the Lords of Cobalt versus God. So like monotheism versus polytheism, and just who's right. It's also interesting that now we see from the Cylon's perspective that God created humanity and humanity was flawed. This is, again, the Cylons are thinking. And so he's trying to scrap that and try again with Cylons. And it's interesting to me because humans did create Cylons, but Cylons choose to like see it as God, I guess, used humans to create them, and they are like the superior race. Although it's interesting because, and maybe I'm just reading it wrong, but on Caprica, it seems like the goal is to get Sharon and Hilo to settle on Caprica and start a family, right? And so, one, do the Cylons have the ability to carry and reproduce children with humans? How the hell does that work? Two, is that the end goal for why they want Hilo and Sharon to get together? Because they want them to create a new race, a hybrid of humans and Cylons? Like, is that their end goal with that? And if so, like, I guess it makes sense, but like also like, what the hell? Like, that's kind of crazy. Also, the Cylon guy told us that, and I mean, he was relatively accurate on his future predicting, like even down to the dream that the president had in the beginning. It was just a disguise of what happened later. He said they will find Cobalt, and Cobalt will lead them to Earth, right? Something along those lines. So are they actually gonna find Earth? Like, that would be really cool and interesting, because Earth, up to this point, right, is at least, I mean, yeah, they're claiming that that's what they're trying to find, but it's really just a smokescreen. And so far, to my understanding, it's very much like a myth of a place, right? Like they don't actually believe that Earth exists. It's just this hope that people can cling on. Sorry, unintentional reference. But this hope that people can hold on to and therefore keep going, right? So it'll be really interesting if they actually do find Earth, because they're not actually actively looking for it. You know what I mean? So I think that's interesting. Also, excuse me. Sorry. To bring up the idea that I mentioned in the episode, I'm not sure if this episode was trying to show us that torture is ineffective, but just in case anybody watching this is unaware, it has been proven many times. You can look it up, there's studies on it, that torture is not an effective means of extracting information from somebody. And so I think it's interesting that they went with that, although, I mean, it's military, it's, you know, early 2000s. You guys have told me again countless times that this is sort of a, this very much lives in the post 9/11 world, and so I can understand that sort of idea. I also think it's really interesting that Kara was able to torture him, right, and detach herself from it, with the idea that he's just a machine. Yet when they were gonna space him and kill him, she was against that, and she actually seemed to see the humanity in him in that moment, which I can't help but wonder if that was his ultimate goal, right? Like, he facilitated this entire thing happening, right? Because we know that he showed in that scene that he could have gotten free if he wanted to. He could have killed her if he wanted to, and he didn't choose to do that. So when he's letting those people hold him back, like, we know now that he's actually allowing everything that happens after that to happen because he has the power to stop it, and he's choosing not to. So to me, that says that this entire plan is facilitated. He can see the future. He knew that the end goal of all of this, and he wanted to talk to Kara. So there's only one reason that he would want to do that, and that is to humanize himself in her eyes, to give her some doubt, right? Some kernel of doubt about the Cylons, and like, maybe they're not as bad as you've been told they are. And I think that he got that in the end, because she did shepherd his soul to God, you know? So that's a very interesting thing. I love how much this show makes you think, and the topics that it's not afraid to delve into, because it is very much like making you think about religion and souls and identity, and the idea of, is there something that makes us inherently human, and is that thing that makes us inherently human more important than like the Cylons? Or is it possible that just because we're human and we have that innate whatever soul, whatever you want to call it, that makes us human, could that also extend to another life form, right? Like, could the Cylons have some form of a soul? And I think it's a really interesting question. It's the idea that I think that we're getting faced with more and more as technology evolves more and more. And it's the idea that, I feel like it's the idea that at some point technology will become sentient, not the idea if at some point technology becomes sentient. I feel like at this point we're kind of getting towards the inevitability of it, and how will humanity react to that? And we have a lot of, you know, cautionary tales in television and movies and stories to sort of warn us of reacting to it badly. But I'm just curious. I don't think it'll happen in any of our lifetimes, to clarify, but I'm curious when it does eventually happen, humans will have learned enough from the cautionary tales that we've told to do it better or not. And I feel like that's kind of the idea that Stargate is posing, or Stargate. Wow. BSG, sorry. Can we coexist? Should we try? We also got a little bit of backstory about Kara via that Cylon guy in this episode, and I find it really interesting. They said her mother was, and I can't remember exactly, but she believed that suffering was necessary to be a good human, I guess. And so she would purposefully inflict suffering on Kara because she thought that that would make her a better person. And so now the way that Kara sees the world is directly linked to the suffering that her mother caused her and the way that she views everything around her, which is very true. The things that we learn in childhood, good, bad, traumatic, whatever, affect us for the rest of our lives. The things that happen to us when we are kids, like when our brains are very much in a rapid phase of development, super affect the way that we interpret the world and other people for the rest of our lives. So I think it's kind of cool that they sort of talked about that and sort of gave us a little bit more insight into Kara and the way that she interprets the world and sees the world around her through this tiny tidbit of information about her past. And I definitely want to learn more about her mom and if she had other traumatic shit happen to her when she was a kid, because I find her a very interesting character and a very likable character. And I want to learn, like, I love to learn all of the random tiny little details about a character. Like, what is her favorite drink? What's her favorite food? What's her favorite book? What's her favorite movie? You know, all of that stuff, like, I would find interesting. Like, probably it's stuff that's not actually in our world, so you can't, like, relate to it in that way. But I still would love to learn those things about her because, I don't know, I like learning all the random mundane things about characters because I think it's fun. That's not a random mundane thing, though. Like, that's a core aspect of who she is as a character. And I would love to see that expanded on more as well. Also, speaking of core aspects of characters, we had Sharon going to Gaius because she wanted to prove to Tyrell that she's not a Cylon. And so she wanted to be included in his testing of the Cylon detection device. And she was. It accurately detected that she is in fact a Cylon. And then he lied to her about it, which is dangerous. Like, I don't know if he's now going to go to Adama and tell him the truth or if he's going to just keep this to himself. But he now knows that she is a Cylon. So we now know that somebody besides us, the audience, knows that she is in fact a Cylon. So that's going to be interesting going forward. I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. And I mean, now we know for sure that his device works. So is he going to start actually using his device or is he not? Because also he's going to have to explain that she actually is a Cylon if he decides to use it. I mean, he doesn't have to, but he should. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I think that the most interesting aspect of that episode, well, actually, it was just a really interesting episode overall. But the question that it leaves you with is definitely, is Adama a fucking Cylon? Like, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm going to leave you with too, I guess. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you want, you can like, comment, and subscribe if you aren't already. You can also watch the next episode right now over on Patreon, which will be linked in the description down below, as well as my entire full-length reaction to this episode and every episode thus far of Battlestar Galactica, not Stargate. Anyway, I hope to see you guys next week for the next episode and more shocking intrigue. Who the hell knows? Until then, Bye, guys.